In celebration of the Tech Deck's 10th anniversary, I wanted to do something special. So this is the mother of all neck resets, right? This is your 150th anniversary true dovetail HD28 Martin. Here's a setup I thought you might find interesting. So this is a dry run. So what I'm doing here is I'm correcting that neck to body junction. We've tilted the neck back, so there's obviously a major high spot here. Let me show you that with a straight edge. So I have a shorter straight edge here to kind of illustrate that high spot that I've got marked with the chalk. So the first thing we got to do is we got to take a short scrub block and take down this area here at the neck to body junction where we've done our reset. So we're going to take that out of the fingerboard first. I have a very short scrub block that I use for this, and this is 80 grit sandpaper. Now the nice thing about ebony is it doesn't block up the sandpaper as much as rosewood. It's not quite as oily. So I'll concentrate on this first and bring that down. And like I've said in other videos, I know you see these great big long radius leveling sticks. I've never used that in my life. What I've got here is there's a slip of leather. There's enough flex in that to chase any radius under the sun. I'm just concentrating on that hump going across the radius. So that's where the lion's share of the material needs to come off, right at that 14th fret. So I'm going to stop for a second and we'll check it as we go, and you'll get a front row seat. Go with a little bit longer straight edge now. Here we go. Now as I spread back, you can see the light under this side and the light under here. So we're going to move that work area back a little bit now. We're going to move up the fingerboard a little bit further and make that correction. Beautiful. Now we're going to go full length. Now I have to say that those last two frets, a little bit of fall off there, that's okay, not a big deal. It's really the full length of the neck that we're concentrating on now. And the other point I want to make is you don't want the block to be as wide as the fingerboard. You want it to be narrower than the fingerboard. The reason for that is if the block is wider, when you sand, you're really creating a tubular shape. It's like the fingerboard is like the outside of a pipe. But what you want for maximum playability is a conical shape, where it's like an ice cream cone, narrow on one end, wider on the other. And you need a narrower block to create that conical shape, and that's why I use a narrower block. Okay, so let's continue. Now we're going to go to a longer block again. We're going to chase it a little bit further up the fingerboard. So all of these frets are going in before we glue the neck back on. This way, the soundboard never takes a hit. It's so nice to use the Japanese saw because it cuts on the pull stroke. I pull from the outside in. This is what I've kind of boiled it down to after a half a century of doing neck resets. So what you're looking at here is a maple backer block, and this backs up the fingerboard extension while I tap those frets in. So those first 5 frets are now in the fingerboard extension. They've been seated and edge dressed and polished. Now we'll put the neck on and put the rest of the frets in. The final level and recrown will be done after the neck is attached, and of course after the rest of the frets are in. And this is my dovetail block that I use for Martin guitars. As you saw earlier, this allowed me to back up the fingerboard extension while I tap those frets in. This is my dry run, just getting ready to spread the glue. Full view for all you guys using the Tech Deck. I just wanted to show you how I set up during the sort of tweaking of that dovetail to get that good press fit. I won't need this when I'm actually gluing, because I've got a perfect fit now, so I don't have to worry about anything wiggling loose. But as I do all of the adjustments to guarantee that that tip is in tight, I just have these rubber bands, and I've got that piece of hockey puck that kind of holds it in while I'm pulling it off, putting it on, checking, rechecking. That's basically the way I do it. The body, of course, has this strap is like a hoop pulling it in this direction. This pulls it in the opposing direction, and it's pulled down tight against the leather padded rails. So I've got this one hockey puck that I've shaped. It actually has a curvature, exaggerated curvature, more than the fingerboard. And then on the edge of the radius sander, I just sort of cut that relief cut for the fret. So what that does is when I put that on, this also has rubber on it, so it goes up against the head brace, so nothing's marred. And that basically pulls the fingerboard extension down nice and tight, and that's essentially how I do it. That hide glue is heated up, so we'll liking that. Neck reset's been done. As you saw earlier, the frets and the fingerboard extension are done. Now I'm kind of making my way up the neck. A couple of things I wanted to point out before I continue. So now when I put that straight edge on there and go up to the bridge, it's about 1/16 of an inch above the rosewood. So this is a good thing. So Steve will always be able to set up the action on this thing for many, many years. But you get the idea. You saw how I use the blocks. We support the neck. We don't have a great big block that covers the whole fingerboard. We have a block about one inch wide, and that allows you to sort of sand in a conical form instead of a tubular form. Much more control, makes a much better job of the fingerboard surface. We're going to wrap it up between today and tomorrow, and then I'll do the mix down and then post this on the Patreon site, and you guys will get a complete play-by-play on the mother of all neck resets. Cheers. It's a 1 pound hammer, hardwood dowel, 5 strokes to set the fret, 5 strokes to set it home.